Brian Neher, a professional portrait painter from Charlotte, North Carolina. Today I want to go ahead and do a short demonstration of a head study for you, just to give you an idea of how I start out a painting and how I progress through and work. A lot of times I get asked, well, how do you start a painting, or how do you work your way through a portrait? And there are a number of different ways to do that. Every artist is different, so every style is going to be slightly different. But today I just want to share some of the things that have helped me over the years, and just my basic working method that works for me, and it might work for you as well. But before I get started, I just wanted to mention some of the setup here as far as the equipment that I'm using. I have first, you need something to hold your canvas on, and that's basically what I have here is a French easel. This isn't an easel that I use every day in the studio, but whenever I travel or I need to do a demonstration or I'm speaking in front of a class of students, I'll take this with me. And basically it's a standard French easel, but I've made a couple of modifications to it. First of all, I put this bar on top, which basically it helps. A lot of times I'm using reference photos, and so it helps me to be able to tape those photos up there so that I can see them without trying to have everything so cramped in one space and trying to hang a photo on the canvas or something like that. So it just gives me more space to work with. And then also the other portion of the bar here helps me to lay a cane over top of. And I use a standard walking cane, sort of like a maul stick. It's a little different just for the fact that it has the crook on the end, which makes it very easy. I can just hang it over top, and whenever I want to work if I want to rest my hand, I'm able to do that, and I can move around the canvas. I can slide the cane over. I can move up and down. It makes it very convenient to do that, and that's really what the bar is for the other side as well. It gives me more flexibility and more maneuverability to move that cane around. The canvas that I'm using is actually a linen canvas. It's Claessens number 13 single primed linen, and it's a very smooth, very tight weave linen, and it's beautiful. I paint all of my portraits on this type of linen, and I've used it for years. It's fantastic, and it comes pre-primed, so I don't do any priming or anything. I just go ahead and start working on the canvas as it comes. And I will mention that I ordered the canvas in large rolls that I cut down and then stretch myself onto a set of stretcher bars, which makes it convenient because you can make any size you want. You can also take the canvas off the stretcher bars at some point if you need to. You have more flexibility. Plus, by buying it in a roll, you save a little more money as well. So now that I've got my canvas, I've got my cane. You'll also notice these little bumpers. These don't come standard on this French easel. I put these on myself because I found that when I put the canvas, if I tried to stick it in this groove up here, I didn't like the fact that lip came over top of the linen, because I like to cover some of that area up sometimes, and I felt hindered. And then also by putting the canvas underneath that lip, it still moved quite a bit, and that wasn't what I wanted when I was working. And so I basically wanted something that would stay in place, which is extremely important when you're working. You want to have some sort of a working space where your canvas is not going to move. It's not going to fly all over the place. There's nothing worse than working on a painting and then all of a sudden it gives, and then you do a streak that you didn't want to all the way across a face. It's not fun. So basically I put these rubber bumpers on the top and on the bottom as well, and the canvas just sits in between those two, kind of like sandwiched in between there, and it seems to hold pretty well. What else do I have here? I have a couple of reference photos that I'll be using as well. I work from reference photos that I take my own photos. That way I can compose the lighting and the posing. And I like to work from black and white photos just for the fact that I'm more concerned with the value relationships, how one value, when I talk about value, I'm talking about how one color appears as far as how light or how dark a color is. And when I talk about value, here's a dark value in this shadow area, and this value next to it is a lighter value. So those those two values next to each other, they occur all over this photograph and eventually all over your painting to give you the illusion of a third dimension. And that's really what values are for, is to give you that third dimension, that illusion of a third dimension on a two-dimensional surface. And that's why I'm so concerned with just working with black and white photographs and the value relationships. Now, some of you might be asking, well, how do you get color into your portrait if you're working from black and white photographs? And it took a little getting used to at the beginning, but once you start incorporating your own color scheme based on complementary colors, it becomes more natural. And it's actually, I find that by working from black and white photographs that I'm able to more effectively incorporate color into, say, a shadow area, rather than trying to copy a color photograph that might just look like this area here might just look like it's brown, like a dark brown. Instead of painting that just a dark brown, I'm able to keep the same value relationship, meaning that keeping that same value that's there, but incorporating my own color scheme in there, incorporating warm and cool colors into that to make it more interesting, more vibrant. A lot of that whole theory comes from the Impressionists. Monet was an excellent example. If you've never had a chance to study Claude Monet, his work, he was a master at being able to key a painting in a certain value range and then staying within that value range. But within that one value, he was able to switch the color up, warm and cool colors, constantly back and forth, which created a sense of a vibration sense to the viewer, so that when a lot of times he would actually put complementary colors right next to each other, and by having them right next to each other, they were the same value, but because they were the same value and they were complements, what happened was it fools the viewer's eye, and the viewer actually mixes those two colors together. So say if he put a red and a blue next to each other, same value, right next to each other on the canvas, as the viewer looks at it, those two colors, it's an optical illusion. They get mixed together, and what they see is more of a purple color. It's sort of the same theory that I try to incorporate in more of a subtle manner into my portrait work as well. And working from black and white photographs, it doesn't hinder me as far as trying to consciously copy a color photograph, but I'm able to incorporate more of more of my own personal color scheme into that. And then basically I have paper towels here as well. Viva paper towels. I'll be using these all throughout the painting as well. And I not only use these for painting or for wiping off brushes and stuff, but I'll also use them actually to paint with as well. These Viva paper towels are so absorbent and they're so smooth. A lot of times I'm taking them, you'll see as I move around, but I'll take them and I'm actually painting with them, with the paper towel itself, which produces a different effect as well. Because a lot of times I'm not trying to just use one single tool, like one brush throughout the entire painting. I'm trying to add some variety to it to make it more interesting. And so that's the basic setup. And once I've got everything in place like I do here, then I'm all set to go. And so we'll get started on this head study, and we'll take it from there.